I just missed the mechanic I was just saying that was we missed each other. You came out, I went over and shot but I saw Sam. Sam was doing shenanigans too over the weekend.
It's great show on my internet.
For Channel 11?
No, for GPD.
Sam what?
Chris, yeah, he calls game.
Yeah, okay, well, that's good. Yeah, I'm glad Sam. I thought that was pretty helpful. Fred, and I just say the house I know.
The way it went, is how it's.
I mean, the first was pretty yeah.
Something to shoot with us.
Yeah.
He's a nice kid.
He's been doing it.
So nobody gave you a discount? Underground disc. An underground disc. Real estate shops, we don't have anything. Okay. No, they didn't prepare one. I was making sure you had prepared on your own. Okay. They'll have to drop it in.
How much time? Oh, 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, they got a half hour. Oh yeah.
Right. He would set everything up. He would set up games.
He has all this stuff.
Changes, man. You have to go change.
I always wonder why they these kind of crazy people that are there and they're doing nothing. I mean, new ones, give them everything, all that. that you never had.
That's great. You say that.
Yeah. No, you're not going to see the lights. Yeah.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Goodness gracious. See the press corps that I have. They're so much happier in Italy. First, I would like to start by thanking Scott Smith, the president and CEO of WRS Inc., for joining me today in Atlanta. I would also like to thank everyone on my team who worked diligently to secure this agreement, and to the folks on WRS's team. Specifically, I want to thank A.J. Robinson. I really can't go far enough in terms of thanking him for his sustained involvement in this effort. A.J., thank you very much. I also want to thank the Chief Operating Officer of the City of Atlanta, Mike Geisler, for working so hard in this effort. And my city attorney and friend, Kathy Hampton, thank you for all of your hard work. I want to thank Jalal Slade, our senior advisor on real estate in the City of Atlanta. And I want to thank the Invest Atlanta team and welcome Craig Richard to this effort as well, with all of our Invest Atlanta partners. I'd like to thank David Todd from CBRE, and of course Jim Beard, the CFO of the City of Atlanta. Today marks yet another milestone in the realization of our vision for a stronger downtown corridor. In March, I announced the sale of Underground Atlanta in an effort to leverage the property as a catalyst for the revitalization of this corridor, and also to help strengthen the city's balance sheet. We spend about $8 million a year in annual maintenance costs and subsidies for Underground Atlanta, a condition that is unsustainable for the city. We solicited the best, most innovative ideas for redevelopment today, and I'm excited to announce that WRS Inc. has purchased the site for $25.8 million. WRS is a proven leader in retail development, and to date has developed over 30 anchored shopping centers covering 7 million square feet of retail space, and has also aided in the development of more than 100 additional projects, encompassing more than 10 million square feet of retail space. They also have an excellent reputation in their home state of South Carolina. Here in Atlanta, WRS Inc. will create a community at Underground Atlanta, bringing in mixed-use retail and residential. WRS Inc. is committed to making Underground Atlanta a place where people can live and shop every day instead of a place that they will visit every once in a while. When completed, Underground Atlanta will complement new downtown attractions, including the National Center for Civil and Human Rights, the College Football Hall of Fame, and the new $1.4 billion Falcon Football Stadium, which will open in 2017, just a few blocks away. This announcement is also a great deal for the community surrounding Underground Atlanta. It is sometimes easy to forget that Underground Atlanta was once a thriving center for entertainment, dining, and nightlife. It also happens to be the place where the City of Atlanta started. But today represents a new day for the property. With the addition of retail and housing, Underground Atlanta will once again attract consistent and diverse patronage. The city's track record of creating economic opportunity has been proven with the sales of City Hall East, which is now driving development along the Ponce City corridor. Buckhead Atlanta, which was 2 holes in the ground in Buckhead when we started. The Falcon Stadium, which is well under its way. And soon Fort McPherson will join this number as well. So will Turner Field and Civic Center. But today is about Underground Atlanta and WRS. Every year, companies are voting with their feet. More and more businesses are deciding to locate in the city and in the heart of the city. And even in the midst of the worst recession, the city of Atlanta has sent a clear message that is clearly being heard, that we are open for business and we want to be strong partners. At this time, I would like to introduce Scott Smith, the president and CEO of WRS Inc. and the new owner of Underground Atlanta. Scott, thank you so much.
Very much. Again, Mayor, thank you very, very much. And to the rest of the mayor's staff, to AJ and AJ's, the CPA, I cannot sit here and tell you how excited we are to be able to develop this piece of property that we think, as the mayor said, is ground one in Atlanta. When we first started looking, we saw everything around this piece of property being developed, everything around it being redeveloped, everything around it being changed. And we thought, well, wait a minute, what is going on right in the heart? So when we were able to contract for this piece of property, not only were we excited from the standpoint of we're being able to do something really great for our company, but we think we can do something really fantastic and great for the city of Atlanta. Underground, as we all know, is always dependent on people to come to it. And what our goals are to put people there. We think with the MARTA station being right there, with a great university being half a block away, with the mayor's office, with the state capital, less than half a mile away, with the new football stadium. The excitement that's happening right now is just beyond any developer's dreams to have something like that and be able to be on a 12-acre piece of property and cause things to be exciting like this. So in the next 3 years, I think you'll see a lot of changes there. At the same time, I think you'll see a lot of things that had always happened there come back to life. And that's the excitement of the underground. That's excitement of restaurants coming back there. That's excitement of the shopping. Because of the people on top of it and because of the people that will continue to come to that area, we feel that this is just going to be a great development. Thank you very much.
And with that, I'm going to take any questions that you may have.
Mayor, we had a similar program just
Dave,
right across the street from City Hall, where there was a restaurant, there was a Kroger underneath, there are apartments above. That didn't work. What makes us think that it will work this time around? And for you and Mr. Smith to answer that as well.
I think City Plaza is radically different. I mean, City Plaza is not 12 acres. It doesn't already have 1 million visitors a year. Underground, in the state that it's in, is still one of the most visited sites in the city of Atlanta, but mostly by tourists. So I don't think that they're similar in terms of size or scope at all. I also don't think that the capital that was behind Capital City Plaza is anywhere near the kind of wherewithal that's going to be brought to the underground effort. So I just think that 12 acres in the center of the city that's already attracting 1 million visitors a year, surrounded by the business community, governmental centers, and a $1.4 billion stadium, soon to be joined by a 1 to 2,000 room hotel, I think certainly changes the dynamics a great deal from Capital City Plaza, which happens to be almost completely occupied, by the way. So the hold on, wait a minute. So the occupancy at Capital City Plaza, I think, is in excess of 94%. So I wouldn't call it a complete failure. And I think that if we had a different owner there, we'd probably have had a different outcome as well. I'll let Scott handle the rest.
And Mr. Smith, you can give us an idea of the scope of what you're planning to build there, how many apartments and residential, just kind of a
Right. We are still in the beginning phases of the numbers of units that will go there. The types of units, we feel that what we will attract are younger, upper mobile. We also know that there's the university is there, and there could be some possibilities for some people from the university, both from staff and students who would like to locate right there, being half a block away. And we think the empty nesters. So location-wise, we just don't believe there's a better location in town that can be. As for the timing, if you look around the country, this is not something unique. This is something that's happening in every nice big city in the country right now. So this will not be the first you'll see downtown. This will just be it won't be the last. It will be the first that you're going to see downtown.
Mr. Smith, there is a lot of competition out there. When you come in, you have to look and see what's around. There is Atlantic Station a few minutes away. There's the streets of Buckhead. Tell the folks who live in Atlanta, what will be in your place that will make them give you a shot, as opposed to just spending their money at Atlantic Station or streets of Buckhead or Atlantic Square, wherever?
Well, as an old real estate adage, location, location, location. There's nowhere in Atlanta that you cannot get to this location because of the MARTA station right there. People are already here every day working. We got, I believe, 110,000 people coming downtown. We have the university over there with 32,000 students plus the employees there. So we're in 150,000 people community already. We just don't have anywhere for them to live this close. And so that's why we're very excited about that. And from where we see the trends going in the country, the people trying to stay out of the cars, be able to take mass transit, be able to take the bicycle, be able to walk, we think that we are in the perfect location.
And do you think it's going to be hard to change the perception of underground Atlanta? Because over the years, that kind of goes back to what he was talking about. There's been so much focus on Atlantic Station and underground just not bringing that to the table.
You know, I think that goes back to what we were saying, or what I said earlier. You can go in every major city in the country right now and you see this happening. Because I think the trend, if that's what it is, but people want to be back downtown. People want to be able to walk to where they're going to shop. People want to be able to walk to where they're going to go. People want to be able to walk to the parks. They're getting out of the cars. They're getting out of those long commutes. And we have an awful lot of people in Atlanta. So I don't think we're going to have any problem at all attracting people to come down that wants to live in this great location.
Underground Atlanta has had, especially over the last 10 years or more, a stigma attached to it that's been kind of special. How daunting was that for you when you were selecting the site, and what do you have to do to fight that?
It wasn't daunting at all, again, because of the location. What's happening is, what we felt about underground Atlanta was there's a lot of property there and not a lot going on. And when there's not a lot going on, then people tend to sit and there's no movement. There's no reason for other people that can cause things to come and happen. It's not daunting to us at all. That's what redevelopment's all about. We are used to going into areas that have been built before. For whatever reason, they run through their cycle, whether it took 40 years, 80 years, whatever. And that's the most exciting thing about redevelopment, is you come, you bring excitement, you change the culture in the area.
And one of the stigmas has been the 5-point station that's adjacent to underground Atlanta. Do you have any concerns about how portions of the surrounding neighborhood might impact what you want?
You know, we do not. If you'll go look around the surrounding areas and you see that what the apartment rents are and what the condo purchases are, within 1.5 miles, 2 miles of this location, it's staggering, absolutely staggering. People want to be downtown. People no longer want those 45-minute, 50-hour commutes. So it doesn't concern us in the least, because we know once we develop what we're putting there, it will change the entire environment.
Can you give us a timeline of what you're looking at in time in terms of?
We would like to start construction no later. We'll like to start construction by mid-2016. If we could do that earlier, that would be even better, but we do have to go through the process of having the plans all approved and such.
Mary, is this an invested land deal? If so, were there financial incentives part of the deal? And if it is an invested land deal, will it have to comply with the requirement of 10% affordable housing for any new units coming online?
No, it wasn't an invested land deal. But what we did was we have not provided any incentives. So this is a pretty straight transaction. It was just hard because underground is made up of so many pieces. That's why I went to council. This was a very hard deal to do. That's why it's taken us so long. Scott's a real tough negotiator. And I negotiated a little bit. So it took a little while, but we've gotten here. But there are no incentives as a part of the project. This is just a straight purchase, $25.8 million.
Can you speak to what's going to happen to it?
Hold on, wait a minute. Which addresses the $8.8 million that we went to council for authorization, pays that 8.8 million out, and then takes over the debt payments that we have left on the property. So it frees up our balance sheet, and is wholly consistent with the work that was done by Richard Anderson and Howard Shook and the Efficiency Commission to get us prepared to move forward with our infrastructure bond.
Yes, Mayor, can you talk about how many bids you received for underground and what made this bid stand out by comparison?
What made the
And
bid?
financial capacity also,
Yeah.
I'd love to know that.
Well, I'll let him speak to financial capacity, but before entering into substantive conversations, we vetted WRS, and they completely check out and have done wonderful work in other places, so they have the financial capacity. The reason that I wanted to do this deal is because I felt like Scott and his team were the right partners. Every time we've had success in my administration, I've been heavily motivated, not just by the offer, but by the individuals on the other side. So when we renovated and did a joint venture regarding Lakewood with EUE Screen Gyms, we spent a ton of time getting to know those folks. Dean Oliver and I are terrific friends. That was key to Buckhead, Atlanta being built out. The same was true with Arthur Blank and the Atlanta Falcons when that transaction got hard. So I just go to what we've done repeatedly. The partner matters. And Scott has a person on his team that had lived in Atlanta. And so I'll let Scott speak to that individual, but he had a vision for underground, candidly, that was very compelling and that broke through. Regarding the number of inquiries, I don't know that, so we'll provide that with you, or Ann can provide that to you. But what struck me about WRS was that they were passionate about getting this deal done, as tough as it was. Neither side ever gave up or ever walked away. But I don't recall the young man's name on his team, but he's got a star on his team that has a vision for underground that I think is going to knock folks on their behinds. Scott's being modest. I mean, the renderings, their capacity, the people who are interested in this project, the number of folks who are already at the table is very strong, but I understand from a business standpoint him wanting to maintain some privacy until he has all those agreements inked and done.
You
Scott?
had described it as a living room at one time.
That's right. Scott, you want to speak to some? I'll come back.
The mayor is right. We have.
The guy here?
He's not. But who the mayor's talking about is Kevin Rogers of our office. Kevin Rogers lived in the area, lived near downtown, and for years has said what a great location that is, with friends that he's talked to about and such. And so he kept bending our ears, and we kept looking and said he's absolutely right. And so Kevin is the reason that WRS is involved in this project. As for the mayor is right also about the fact that we're already talking to a lot of tenants, and we have, they're very excited. Actually, AJ's group had already had tenants calling them saying, we want to find locations downtown. Well, again, we know this is the perfect location for downtown. We are the downtown. As I told someone, when you look at the mile markers and you're coming into Atlanta and it's 15, 14, 13, 12, 0 is downtown. I'm sorry, 0 is underground. So we are downtown Atlanta, and very, very, very excited about that. And what I was thinking about on the way over here today is there is no anchor tenant there right now. There aren't people living there, and there's over 125,000 feet of retail leased there right now. And that just tells you how many people are downtown Atlanta going there just because they want to go in there, not because there's a draw to go in there at this time. Again, it's very historic, and it will always be, and we will make sure that it stays that way.
Are you considering a name change?
Not for the underground. We may do something above ground.
How much of a facelift is it getting? I mean, is it gonna look like totally different or still stay pretty much the same?
The top portion of underground will not look like it does today in any shape or form.
Could you give us the mayor hinted that it might knock us on our behinds. Could you give us a little bit of what he's talking about?
Well, we envision, obviously, on top of the underground, we envision retail and then multifamily on top of the retail. And then we envision other pads that we have there that will be multifamily also. So I think what you'll see is a lot of things go straight up. What we also want to do at the same time is incorporate open space. So that's what we're doing right now. We are in the midst and throes of figuring out how we make all the patterns work where you don't come in there and you feel closed in.
How far straight up? How far straight up?
Well, those are, oh, no. A lot will have to do with the studies of how much multifamily we think can go there. We have an idea. We know that there will be hundreds and hundreds. We just don't know where that hundreds ends up yet.
Mr. Smith, from doing research on your company, it seems that you have a lot of experience in shopping centers, low-rise kind of commercial shopping centers, standalone commercial stores. Is this uncharted territory for your company, and do you think that you can handle something of this scale?
Well, what we are, and you're exactly right, we are retail developers, and we're very good at retail development. And that's why what we will do is we will bring in and partner up with multi-family developers. We're actually doing the same thing right now in Charleston in a project called the Horizon Project, where we are the retail component of that, and there will be office and multifamily going above our retail project.
Will you keep the connection to 5 Points MARTA?
Absolutely.
Curious if you've had any interactions with MARTA, and this is for you as well, Mayor, related to development around 5 Points that would kind of be in complement with your project?
I think that'd be a question for the mayor.
Yes, we have interactions with MARTA all the time. The chairman of their board is my appointee. So I communicate with him and with Keith Parker on a regular basis. We've been staying briefed regarding their transit-oriented development concept. We're fully supportive of that, and we think that that this will give energy to that. So the communications have been constant.
Has there been any discussion about affordable housing moving forward? There's growing concern about renters being cost burdened here and rents, people being priced out of neighborhoods. Has there been discussion here? Is that a focus
Oh, sure.
of the project?
Yeah, well, nobody's been more aggressive about affordable housing than me. No governmental leader in this region. Certainly not in DeKalb or in Fulton County or anywhere else you can show. You're talking about Cobb or Gwinnett, where they're focused on affordable housing. This is not a subsidized development. So the subsidies that we provide, which normally trigger the affordability requirements, aren't in place here. So obviously, whenever we have incentives involved, we demand and are going to be more and more aggressive. In fact, we're working on a proposal right now that's going to be pretty forward-leaning in the affordability space. We required it of the Post development, which is an $85 million development in downtown. It has an affordability component. So wherever we are providing subsidies, we are certainly making a demand. We did that in Ponce City Market. But I would just encourage you to ask that same question with the same vigor of Fulton County, where they're not providing any subsidy of any kind, any affordability requirement, while they're giving away millions. You know that's a fact. And so I think you ought to go and talk to them and ask the question of people who aren't doing anything. No government in the state of Georgia, certainly no government in the region, has done more on affordability than mine. Not Gwinnett, not Cobb, not Fulton, not Clayton, not DeKalb. So, but this isn't a subsidized deal.
This doesn't have
I
subsidies?
do want to acknowledge the presence of Kwanzaa Hall. Maria?
Yes, and AJ might also want to talk about this.
Sure,
I know
AJ, come on
there's
up.
been some talk about MARTA maybe moving, or some desire for MARTA to move its headquarters on top of the 5 Points MARTA station. Would you address, Mayor and also AJ, whether that could happen now that there's a redevelopment happening across the street? Could that be a project?
Well, I think that's look, we're thrilled that so many of you are interested in downtown Atlanta, and We're thrilled to see it. And I'm very proud of our mayor and his leadership and his team for first having the courage to buy out the existing management agreement and then turning around and recruiting Scott. I mean, this is a big day for the city. So to your question, Maria, absolutely. This is a bright new horizon for our community. So the ability to congregate this density will beg the question, okay, let's tackle the MARTA station, and let's figure out how, as a community, we can help MARTA improve the 5 Point station. Let's look at the other land around that Scott won't own, and let's talk about how we can leverage, just like we leveraged the aquarium. We're going to leverage, as the mayor said, the stadium. All of these, we leverage the Olympics. Those of you who've been here a while, I mean, all of these investments, and particularly private investments like this, represent an opportunity for our community to get its act together and continue to build out around major capital events. And that's what's, as the mayor said, that's what's happened over the last year with all the different attractions and so forth. So to your point specifically, we have a great opportunity with the MARTA station now. And this is, I think, a great start for that.
How many vendors are still at underground, and what's going to happen to them moving forward?
And I did want the mayor also to respond about the MARTA 5 Point station and maybe trying to urge MARTA.
I think that that's a real possibility. Keith Parker and I are going to be together later this week. We'll be at the mayor's ball. I think he's going to be a guest at my table. So we'll have a good long program to talk about the future of MARTA. I hope you'll be there. But we've been talking about it a bit. The bottom line is we're going all in on transit oriented into development. He's well aware of that. That's his direction, and his board is fully supportive of him. So to the extent that there's an opportunity, just because of the value of the real estate that they own in the Buckhead community and what they may be able to get as the market returns, I think that that's something that Keith will look at really, really hard. Regarding the remaining vendors in underground, I don't know. That's going to be up to Scott now to have the conversation with the remaining vendors. We are having the peach drop, though. I know that. So we will be having the peach drop. It will be in downtown Atlanta. That will not change, and I hope that Scott will continue that tradition. And we're going to have some pretty special recording artists at the peach drop this year.
Mayor, do you have, there's the other side of the child, or the other side of underground, arguably, is the old World Coca-Cola building. Do you have anything more than aspirations that the state or somebody else will do something with that?
No, I think you ought to hold your breath on that one. I think that the state has some things in mind for the old World of Coca-Cola building. So I'd say keep looking at that. There's some things going on around the old World of Coca-Cola building that I think that the state has an interest in. But right now, we're just working to make sure that, if this comes out, first of all, we've achieved our objective. When I had this press conference to announce that I was asking council to allow me to take a risk and buy out some 50 or 70 or 100-year agreement, however long that is. I've never seen a deal like that one. But to buy it out, I asked the council to allow me to take a risk. And so we took a risk. We bought it out because you all saw in the ground it was never going to change. It was never going to have 100 million or 150 million or 200 million developed in it. And the city was never going to put that much money in underground again. And so what we did was we did what we have done very well. We have engaged in arm's length transactions and turned businesses over into the private sector. And if you look at our record and judge us on our record, we have done it successfully. EUE Screen Gems, Ponce City Market, Buckhead Atlanta were all dogs. We could have had the very same press conference that you all, I had this press conference when I was selling the Sears building, and everybody said what's going to happen. The bottom line is Matt Bronfman and Jamestown was the right partner for that deal. When the stadium was in the ditch, and the governor said he wouldn't go forward with the Falcon Stadium, everybody knew that if you looked at the Arthur Blank Foundation, they had given $300 million More than 85% of it had been dedicated to the city of Atlanta, in city limits. He was the right partner. And all the crap that I caught over the $200 million that we invested in the stadium. Dean Oliver was the right guy from Buckhead, Atlanta. No local developers were touching Buckhead, Atlanta. Dean Oliver's from San Francisco, California. He's getting ready to invest in even more. And so as I went through this process with Scott, he had the same toughness and tenacity. And this guy, Kevin, who I apologize for not remembering, had a vision. And he's passionate about underground. And I believe that he's the reason that Scott's here. Because Scott's a business guy. But the guy that was selling the project is a guy that understands this town. And when you meet him, you'll see that he was the right person. And when you go at look at the development in Charleston that they're doing, it's gorgeous. And the mayor of Charleston is a friend of mine. He's one of the longest serving mayors in the United States of America. And so I was able to vet WRS in a pretty serious fashion pretty quickly. So their checks are going to clear. So the city of Atlanta paid off the $8.8 million that council authorized and is removing $8 million a year that we've been subsidizing this property for, and we were never going to turn it around. We don't have $100 million to $200 million to invest in underground. So from our standpoint, our objective has been achieved because I think we have the right business guy, a person with a undeniable track record of winning and delivering concrete results, a person with vision, and we have freed up our debt capacity, which the rating agencies have asked us to do prior to going to the capital markets in March to ask for money for roads, bridges, green spaces, parks, and those things that we all care about so much.
Mayor, visitors will take a look at a complex the first time to check it out.
Yeah.
They're coming back a second or third or fourth time might depend on what you call the hassle factor.
Yeah.
Now, your solicitor, your police department has tried any number of ways to try and deal with aggressive panhandlers downtown. What can you tell this developer about any new strategies you may have to reduce the panhandling problem downtown?
Well, here's what I can tell them. I can tell them what I showed them. First of all, once again, no one has done more around 5 Points than I did. You all wrote in a robust fashion about how terrible I was for clearing all the vendors. The vendors protested me, tried to have me arrested, literally, held me in contempt in front of a judge. What Scott can tell you is if underground had looked like it looked before we removed it, he wouldn't be here today. So this is in phases. What I will tell you, Morris, is we're going to go much farther regarding panhandling in the city of Atlanta. And so I'm not going to get ahead of Chief Turner in terms of addressing panhandling, but we're going much farther than we have gone before, and we're going to fix it. And so over the next year, you're going to see a pretty significant amount of resources creating what we're going to have, which will be equivalent to a golden triangle. We're just not going to tolerate panhandling. And it's a process. But we believe that, if you continue to keep crime low, remove panhandlers, build a bigger police force, then more and more capital is going to flow into the city of Atlanta. And I'll be able to demonstrate that in short order. I got 2 more hits in my pocket that are on the order that are bigger than this. We have announcements that are going to come announcement after announcement where people are choosing the city of Atlanta repeatedly. What I know about Scott is he was the right person for this transaction. And largely through a lot of hold-handing by AJ, we ended up here today because he and I are both pretty tough guys. So this is terrific. I know we've got the right team. And I'm really grateful to you all for coming to hear about this good news and sharing it with the people of Atlanta and the region. I'm so grateful to you.
Any announcement anytime soon, Mayor, regarding the Atlanta Hawks and the new ownership?
Not before Christmas. Not before Christmas, but that's moving along. The financial vet regarding potential owners is where that is right now. So once the financial vet is over, then you'll start the direct process of getting to know those folks.
Mary, quick clarification.
Yes.
The purchase price takes care of the bond debt?
Yes, so the purchase price pays off the amount that we paid to Mr. O'Leary's company to buy out. How long was the deal, Karen?
70.
It was a 70-year deal. It was a 70-year deal at $300,000 a year for 70 years. So it allowed us, I just wanted to say that, goodness gracious. It allowed us to pay off that, and then our debt service is $8 million a year, and we had 2 more payments of $8 million a year, so it extinguishes that, and then it really improves our balance sheet in preparation for 2015.
Mr. Smith, since the Carter administration, we had a heyday for underground in the late 70s, and we've gone through a couple of facelifts in the 80s and 90s, and, well, not since the 90s. But all of these efforts have failed. You have a couple of good years of underground, and then it kind of goes to pot again. What is it about your business plan that gives you more optimism that in a handful of years we're not going to be looking at another rundown underground?
As we said earlier, excuse me. As we said earlier, we're going to put people on top of underground. That hasn't happened before. What's happened is you've had to come to underground. We plan on people living there. We plan on people visiting there. We plan on people visiting the people that live there. So I think that makes all the difference in the world. If you will go and outlet malls are great, and people travel to outlet malls, and they may come there once a month or something like that. The underground was probably a whole lot like that in its heyday. When the Olympics came, obviously the underground, we had all the visitors, everybody was at the underground. The Olympics went away. The people that live in Atlanta, there was no reason for them to go to the underground every day. They're not tourists, they're not visiting. But when people live on top, and we have tenants there as a grocery store, which people go to visit 2.2 times a week, that causes people to purchase things. That causes sustainability. So that's the reason why we think this will work.
Mr. Smith, can you talk about what's going to happen to the vendors? How many vendors are there? What's going to happen to the vendors in the future?
There's a little over 110, 120,000 square feet of vendors still there, which
Do you have a
again,
number on the individual?
I don't have it right off